Hey guys, what's up? Eddie Aho here with Kiss Analog. Guys, I've got Texas Instruments PFC eval card in the lab. They're using the UCC 28180 chip. Man, that chip is a very common chip. It's only an 8-pin chip. It does so much. And it's also very simple. So last video, we had to troubleshoot to see why this board wasn't working. Okay, I've had two of these boards, one back here and this one, and I've done a lot of testing with them. And I probably got a little sloppy because I did so much and they're so robust and couldn't break them. And then I finally did. I think I broke them both the same day. So I kind of put them away thinking I was going to repair them. And now I need to do some videos on some power supplies. On a power supply design. We're going to lay out our own board, do all that stuff. And so I need to get these working just to use them as props and demonstration models. So that's what this is all about. So hopefully you like the videos to come. But we're going to repair this board, and then we're going to test it and make sure it works. So pretty sure we figured it out. Now what I did is the gate drive, I found that it's only 100 ohms between gate drive and ground. And I can switch the leads, the polarity of the leads on the multimeter around. 100 ohms either way, so it looks like a resistor. I'm going to show you why that should not be the case, and then we're going to do the repair, and then I'm going to show you some signals coming off this. I'm going to put a current clamp on the boost inductor and look at the gate drive in correlation with the waveforms in the inductor, okay? Hopefully it works, because that's the plan. All right, let's come over here and do it. Oh, and by the way, hey, as an engineer working in the defense industry, they don't really trust us. They don't train us to be solder techs because they pay us too much to do that. So they want people that are qualified to solder on boards that might go into a customer's unit. Most boards, especially in the last place I worked, they're all, in rare cases, we had eval cards. They're all pretty much meant for the customer. And sometimes they put engineering unit on it, and then you could solder on it and stuff. But we still had a solder tech in the lab, and he's just so much faster and better. You know, why should I do it, right? So even when I was allowed to, I never really did. I did very little soldering. But guys, I built this board last year, and this all through hole. I'm pretty good at through hole. Now this guy is a mixed board, mixed technology. It has through hole and surface mount technology, SMT or SMD, surface mount devices. So the 8-pin chip is surface mount. Now that I should be able to do. I've done them before. So let's come over and give it a try. I haven't used a hot air gun a lot. I usually use you know, the copper braid with some, God, I need to get some more of this. This is old, plus it spilt, and yeah, it's flux. So I need to get some more of that. I don't know, the cap somehow came off and it spilled over, and yeah, anyway, but there's enough in there that we can use. So let's come over here to the bench and use it. And go ahead and laugh at me. Give me your comments down below on how you would replace an 8-pin chip, the better way to do it. I really appreciate that. And let's jump into this video.
All right, guys, this is that functional block diagram. Here's the power train, the boost inductor, the diode, the switching FET, and it's all controlled by this IC down here, the UCC 28180. Now, when I was checking the gate to ground, I saw 100 ohms. Look at this. This is a totem pole FET driver. So we have a source to drain one direction, and to ground, we have a drain to source. So we should see high impedance. We shouldn't see 100 ohms. So that's why that seemed very suspicious. Now the iSense, see the capacitor here? Sometimes there's a 220 ohm. That's kind of a common value coming off the iSense, so that you have a RC filter coming in. So that might be why we saw a 220 ohm. But and then the compensation, you know, high impedance there. The iSense over here should be high impedance. You got some resistors. And then you got a resistor on frequency pin to ground. So seeing 100 ohms here at the gate resistor seemed very suspicious. Typically, I'll look at VCC to see if VCC has been shorted to ground. So sometimes the gate gets blown out because the FET itself gets blown out and takes out the gate of the chip. So that's why we looked at that. So we're going back to the board to replace this 8-pin IC.
Okay, I got some flux down on that chip. I used this liquid flux, and you know, the lid had come off and it was almost drained out. So I used a little bit of goop on there, and we're gonna see if that works. I'm gonna use this hot iron, this hot air gun to try to get that to come off. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna have to let go of this camera, I think.
All right, now that we got the chip off, clean it up with a little bit of braid here.
All right, I used my soldering iron and some wick to get that the pads clean. And there's wick I used. Here's the chip, the UCC 28180. So we're gonna get one of those out of the bag. Looks like I have 10 of them. Let's get one out. All right, I tinned the pads a little bit, got some flux down, used the tweezers to place that chip down on there. Now I'm going to get the hot air gun going again, and we're going to see if I can get lucky and get this to solder down. They should kind of float in place.
All right, did a little touch up underneath the microscope and just looking at the pins on both sides, see if they're all soldered down. Might not be beautiful, but it's functional. Not bad for an engineer.
Okay, here's the gate test point, and here's the ground. So I'll test those, and we'll test these other points too, just to see what kind of ohms we get. So last time we got about 100 ohms between these, so we'll see what we get. Now that's the output of the drive circuit, so I'd expect it to be high impedance. Okay, so let's go ahead and measure the ohms. Look at that, 9.8K, about 10K. So that sounds about right. I mean, that's a lot better than 100 ohms, right? Now let's just flip the leads, just see if there's any difference. About 10K, almost 9.8K. So that seems about right. I'm going to go back to ground here, go to VCC. All right, lots of K ohms. That sounds good. V-Sense, 12, 13K. V-Comp, 116K. The sense pin, 220 ohms. See, there's a sense resistor, but there's probably an RC filter coming back from that. 220 ohms is a common value with a picofarad cap, or okay, that's high impedance there. That's I-comp, that's what I would expect. Compensation pin should be high impedance. And 1.5 meg on the switching node. So, all right, looks a lot better. Let's power it up. Okay, so here's a 12 volt input on the side, right? Using a capacitor just to grab onto the legs. Just kind of a nice way to do it. There's the AC input right there. Here's my wires here. Okay, so over here, I've got the differential probe on the gate. Okay, and then over here, I've got the load. And if we go up there, we see that power resistor load. Okay, so, and then also I have the multimeter, the south wire. Oops, let's turn that back on. Okay, and then I've got the KPS at the ready just in case I want to take some measurements. Let's switch to DC. And it says millivolts up there. Turn on the backlight, make it a little easier. This one has an auto backlight feature. All right, so I'm gonna put my blast shield up here. Okay, we're gonna bring up the 12 volts, and hopefully it starts off with, you know, very little current. Not too little, but little. Okay, let's get there. Okay, it's back to that 1 milliamp we've seen before, so see if it goes up a little higher when it hits 12 volts. I'm gonna go 13 volts just for the heck of it. Okay, so taking like 3.8 milliamps, not much, maybe a little bit more than before, but I don't see any gate switching, so that looks like a problem still. All right, let's just bring up the AC voltage just to see if it doesn't indeed need some AC voltage. So I'll turn it on. It's 0.1 volt, 60 hertz right now. Move that arrow over there. See very little current. I'm watching the output voltage. It's up at 7 volts right now, so it's just tracking. Move the decimal over. Let's go 20. Very little current. Hey, we have switching. Okay, so 70 volts. All right, I'm going to bring the voltage up again, and you can watch this. It says millivolts right now, so here, let's go ahead and bring it up. There's 10, 20 volts. Okay, we're in the voltage. We're 25 volts. And, okay, it's switching. I can see it. We're up 383 volts, so that's great. And over here, we see switching. I'm going to freeze it. Now, when I first start, I like to just bring it up, check everything, verify everything looks okay before I let it run too long and something blows up. All right, so that's the waveform capture. That's the gate waveform. Here, let me spread it out a little bit. All right, so we see a wider pulse, narrow, wider, narrow, wider. So it's trying to regulate. So it looks like it's doing stuff. And it comes up fairly clean, a little bit of ring, not bad. And, you know, I'm using differential probes, so it looks pretty flat and looks pretty decent waveform. So this is 12.5 volts up here, and it looks like it's putting out, the amplitude says 12 volts or 11.6. There's a little bit of a negative, so it could go maybe a diode voltage below ground, you know, but we're at 2.5 volts per division. So it's looking pretty good. It looks like we're back up and running. All right, so now we're going to get the current probe hooked up just to watch stuff. I got this nice CP2100B mixed sig current probe. It's been a mainstay of my testing. Love that current probe. So the Uni-T MSL 3054, this high def 12-bit scope is awesome. How it shows all of the connections and everything, how you set up your probes. It's just really cool. So we got it set up for current, and we're going to go ahead and see if we can capture something. Oh, okay, it's 2 amps per division right now. We're not going to need that much, so let's drop it. Let's drop it down a little bit. We'll go 100 milliamps. Well, we'll go 200 milliamps. 200 milliamps right now, and position that in the center of the screen. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bring up the voltage again. Okay, we're at 30, 40, 50. Make sure this is running. Oh, we're already running. That's great. I think I've got my current probe pointing in the wrong direction. Okay, let's freeze that just for fun. I got to capture it at the right time because it's in sine wave, right? Okay, I turned off the power supply so we can just watch. And look at that. You can see that when our gate is down. All right, guys, what I'm doing is I got channel 4 up, the current probe, and I just said invert, okay? Because I need to disconnect and turn around, but since I captured this waveform, I just wanted to get it on the right side of that line. So I'll bring the current down a little bit. I'll bring it down to the same 0 point the voltage is at and bring it up a notch. So you can see when the gate turns on, when it's up here, the FET's turned on, it's charging the inductor, and then it turns off, it discharges, charges, discharges, charges, discharges, so on. So yeah, it's doing its thing. Pretty cool. Looks like it's working. I need to capture a full cycle, right? So we can kind of zoom in and see what's going on. So let's change the time base to, there's 500 microseconds. Let's change it to about, well, 5 milliseconds. 16 milliseconds will capture a cycle. 5 milliseconds per division will capture a couple of cycles here. So that ought to be good. Let's go ahead and get that going. Okay. Now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to bring the voltage up again slowly. And I only brought it to 50. I'm going to bring it up a little bit higher this time, I think. We got stuff going on over here. Let's just bring it up to 100 volts. All right, 100 volts. Let's freeze this. And then I'll turn this off just so we can sit here and watch it without worrying about something blowing up. Just make sure things look okay. So here's our current waveform. You know, it doesn't look sinusoidal, but it's kind of filling in all the blanks, right? We've got a bunch of pulses in there that are kind of blending together, making it look like solid chunks. But really, there's a whole bunch of slices, We don't have a lot of load on it. That's why it kind of almost looks like a Batman up there. But here, let's just zoom in and see what we see. Because these deep memory scopes have lots of memory to capture all those cycles. Okay, so you can see we're at the top of a waveform right here. So if I zoom over here, or scroll over and capture maybe a rising edge, maybe even closer to the 0 line, and zoom in right there. So you can kind of see what it's looking like. Big, you know, it's kind of 50% duty cycle kind of thing. Just a little bit of current coming through. Voltage isn't very high. And we can scroll over. I'm scrolling this way. Here, I'll get a little more time base so we can see it. So now we're coming up to the near the peak. And zoom in. So you can see a little bit more current. It's coming a little higher because of the voltage applied. We're getting a little more current. So pretty cool, right? If we go right in the middle of the waveform, right here, and that's what we got, okay? Now, since we don't have a lot of load, you see this discharge here? And then it bumps up, and then it comes up. It's, you know, as soon as it kind of stops draining, it doesn't need to drain any more current into the load, so it kind of comes up again. It's almost like recharging itself, and then it kicks on, so then it really does charge up. But it just kind of bumps up. There's just, as you get more load, you're going to see the bottom of this current thing come up, and it stays up higher. So yeah, it looks like we got it working again. All right, guys, give me your ideas on the better way to do that. Now, I've watched guys do it, and I used a microscope actually to touch it up, and I was going to videotape that. My video camera, God, just took a little, it just bumped into something over here on the bench, and it hit just perfectly, and the plastic's kind of thin there, and it's a nice Sony, but it just hit just in the wrong place perfectly, and broke the gears for the autofocus. It's a shame because, yeah, so I need to get a new camera. That way I don't have to hold my camera, my GoPro or whatever, and I can show you guys some solder stuff, because we're going to use a microscope to do that, which I did. And I'll include, I did include a picture showing the view from the microscope. So much easier doing things under a microscope. But all right, let me know what you guys think and how you do it. But 2 big thumbs up, my patrons and my YouTube members. Appreciate you guys. And Danny for being a team member. And you can become a Patreon. The link's down below. Subscribe. That's a free way to support the channel. Hit the like button. Oh, and Danny, thanks for hitting that super thank you button down below. That's how you can buy me a cup of coffee, maybe a beer for rant. Give me an idea for rant. I got lots of ideas, but give me an idea. I'm open to everything. So thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Like I said, like the video, and we'll see you next time. I need this board. Now I got the board running. We can move ahead with the power supply design.